We, myself included, missed a lot of this story, and some people trust us less because of it. We bear some responsibility for faith in the media being at such lows.
Anyway, I was talking about how the media ignores the problems, then they misdirect the problems, then they finally acknowledge that the problems exist, but then they go after the people who are trying to solve the problems. We perhaps have no better example of that than what happened the last 4 years, really over 5 years. And you could probably argue 6 years with Joe Biden's cognitive decline. Why is it that I was doing videos about it in 2019, and yet most mainstream media wasn't covering it at all, to the point that Jake Tapper, who was one of the people not covering it, has a book coming out next month about the fact that the media wasn't covering it. You got to give him some credit for that kind of hypocrisy. Here is Axios. So it was the White House Correspondents Dinner over the weekend, and this thing has just it used to be fun. They would bring out comedians and they would actually sometimes make edgy jokes to the president, and it was making fun of the journalists and making fun of the president, and that's how, because they're all kind of in it together. But you know, it's sort of cathartic. Like if you ever watch those Comedy Central roasts, which are kind of shit, but if you go on YouTube and you can find those old roasts back in the day, those old Hollywood roasts when it was Johnny Carson and it was Frank Sinatra and it was those, and Lucille Ball, like the old Hollywood crew, people that were sort of all in on something together, but then could have this like pressure release of making fun of each other. Anyway, it's devolved into something just kind of nasty and very self-serving and pathetic. So we're going to show you some clips of it. Axios is Alex Thompson. Here he is talking about that they should have realized and they should have done more about Biden's decline. And it shows that they're not perfect. I thought these people were perfect, but you're...
President Biden's decline and its cover-up by the people around him is a reminder that every White House, regardless of party, is capable of deception. But being truth tellers also means telling the truth about ourselves. We, myself included, missed a lot of this story, and some people trust us less because of it. We bear some responsibility for faith in the media being at such lows. I say this because acknowledging errors builds trust, and being defensive about them further erodes it. We should have done better. I believe our mission is vital in a world where people are struggling to figure out what's true, and people with power are not telling the truth. I also believe that this association has been, is, and will continue to be critical to that mission. Thank you to the association's leadership for your unflinching defense of the First Amendment, not just now, but always. Your decades of daily battles on behalf of reporters is why this award is one of the great honors of my life.
Let me get this straight. This guy got an award there, and then in the award, he basically was like, we all suck, and they actually applauded at that. He's like, well, we didn't really do our job. And I'm getting an award for not doing my job. Like, only journalists, only quote-unquote journalists could do that. Also, he's like slightly, and it's hard to tell if it was intentional or not, he gave away the plot right there. He's like, oh, and we should know that no matter where it's coming from, that, you know, sometimes it could be bad. Implying like, Democrats, yeah, Democrats can be bad. You guys are all Democrats. That's the problem. So you got an award for not doing your job. You include yourself in the group of people that have blown away the trust in the mainstream media. And I talked about this last week in relation to something else. It would be nice. Functioning countries, any functioning system of anything needs some institutions that last over time, that last throughout generations. That's how you connect things as the years go by, at the very least, right? How you have some sort of continuity between generations. You guys basically burned down the institution of journalism. You've made the New York Times a mockery and Washington Post a mockery, whatever Axios is. You guys have done all this, and then you give awards to yourself while saying that you suck.